See? Looks, hope, courage, serenity. She had all that. Nora. But isn't it wonderful how the Lord is in life? He will, because He's in control of your life and leading you down that pathway, His pathway, all right? He will bring others like her into your life to keep you on the right track. Other people that are full of His love and light and life. It reveals the Spirit of Christ. It breathes a love which will be reflected. It awakens a desire for a better life, which I wanted. Souls ready to faint are strengthened. People around you, it's kind of emanating. It's kind of, pouring out. Those struggling against temptation will be fortified and comforted. That's what we need to see in the world. When God's people are finally just, emanating this love and light and light. Oh, wow, it's just going to take the world by storm. It's going to just happen. Reflecting Christ. I have this by my mirror, I told you. Every time I look in the mirror, I say, I don't want to see Jim looking back at me. Ever, ever, ever. I want to see the Lord looking back at me. It's the Lord now that I'm living for, not Jim. It's all about Him. The words, the expression of manners, throw out bright rays of sunshine. This is another way of saying it. She's saying it. And leave behind them a clear path. There's that way again, toward heaven, the source of all light. He's leading the way. You can't find it in darkness. You've got to find it with the light. Every one of us has opportunities of helping others. Not only, kind of when we're out in the community, but at our own homes, like I'm doing for my mother and my wife. In your workplaces, wherever you are. The expression of the countenance is itself a mirror of life within us. Jesus desires that we should become like Himself, filled with a tender sympathy, exerting a ministry of love in the small duties of life. The small duties of life. The next person that the Lord brings into my life is this person right here. He's number 2. Most of the time, I would think in a lifetime, you are probably influenced and, life-changing, whatever you want to call it, experience with several people in your life. If you're lucky, 3 or 4, maybe 7, I don't know. For me, it was 3. Or, maybe 4. Well, maybe 5. Several people, okay? Chaplain Hall, Lieutenant Colonel, Seventh-day Adventist chaplain, okay? I was working at a factory and they went on strike. I got home and that day my lottery number had come up for the Vietnam draft. I enlisted. I went in. I signed up. Went to boot camp. Became a cop. When you want to go overseas, you sign up. One of them has to be where the war is taking place. Okay? You get 2 other choices. I'm saying, all right, Lord, where do I really want to go? I'd like to go to Italy. How about Germany? Oh, that sounds, I got a German name. Baumgärtner. Herr Baumgärtner. That sounds good. I would look good in Germany. And so I put Germany down. Why? I know now why. Jim wasn't making that decision. Who was? He was. And so, of all things, when I get my orders, guess where I'm sent? Germany. Lord, why are you sending me to Germany? I don't understand. Well, when I get there, I have an episode with, close encounter with having to, as a policeman, shoot somebody. And I told you before, I couldn't do it. So I made a stand not to shoot. And they hauled me in, and I got in trouble as a security policeman. I met Chaplain Hall because they were wanting to cross-train me into a career field that I was suited to. And being an administrator, secretary, business, accounting like my mother, I come by it rightly, Chaplain Hall interviewed me. And he said, we do have an opening here. and I was just soon to become upgraded to a sergeant, and I passed the test, and officially I became an assistant chaplain to Chaplain William S. Hall and 3 other chaplains. And I'll tell you, a year later, because of that man and that light that glowed through him, that love, unconditional love, he was living the true Christian life, and I could see it. I couldn't help comparing him with the other chaplains. He just stood out, just like Nora did. And I said, I want to learn more. And he started sharing with me. Well, he got in trouble. You're not supposed to proselyte in the armed forces. You can't cater to your own religious persuasion. He was, secretly. So one evening he comes to me and he says, Jim, I've got a problem. I said, what's going on, Chaplain Hall? He says, well, they're trying to get rid of me. They're trying to get me demoted or sent back to States. And I said, why? Well, I'm giving Bible studies secretly. Uh-oh. He said, but I got a solution. You know, you've been asking questions, and he said, but you need to learn more quicker. He said, there's no better way than you give the Bible studies. I said, what? He says, yeah. He says, you start meeting these people and these couples and these airmen and start giving them Bible studies. And to help him out, that's what I did. And within a year, as those people are being baptized, guess who else ended up getting baptized? Jim. 3 years with him in Germany. And I'm hearing it almost every other day. You need to go to college. You need to go to college. You need to go to college. I said, what college? What college? Andrews. Why Andrews? He says, Andrews would be the best place for you. He says, you want to go into the ministry? He says, the best place to get your degree. And he says, plus you'll meet your future wife there. I said, I will? Yes. They got some quality girls there on our college campuses. He says, but you gotta make sure, you gotta check her teeth first. I said, what is it about you and teeth? He had an obsession about teeth. His son did become a dentist, by the way. He had a thing about teeth. And he says, check her teeth. If she's got good teeth, you got to keep her. And so I said, all right. So I got an early out in August of 74. And went to Andrews University. And I'll pick up on the story just a little bit later down the road here. It says, we drink in the love of Christ as branches draw nourishment from the vine. If we are connected with the light, we shall be channels of light. So you got the love, you got the light. And in our words and works, we shall give light to the world, and the light that shines in the face of Christ is reflected in his followers in the glory of God. So she's kind of repetitive here, but it's there. It's so there. It's everywhere. Without the cross, man could have no union with the Father. That's why the cross is so important. On it depends our every hope. From it, the cross, shines what? Light of love. The Savior's love. And when at the foot of the cross the sinner looks up to the one who gave his life to save him, he may rejoice with fullness of joy, and his sins are pardoned. Kneeling in faith at the cross, he has reached the highest place that man can attain. What a plan. What a love. Both the redeemed and the unfallen beings will find in the cross of Christ what? Their science. Not the false science, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil, but the true science right here. It will be seen that the glory shining in the face of Jesus is the glory of self-sacrificing love. In the light from Calvary, it will be seen that the law of self-renouncing love is the law of life. See how it all fits together? And it says, for for the earth and for heaven, not only here now, but in heaven, the law of life. And the love which seeks not our own has its source in where? The heart of God, which then he wants in our hearts. See? And that in the meek and lowly one is manifested the character of him who dwells in the light, which no man can approach. Wow. Those who are truly soldiers of the cross of Christ will not be indifferent spectators, but will take an active part and manifest a personal interest in this conflict. We're in a war, right? We're in a war. Like I had to enlist to serve my country, we have to enlist under his army, right? And be under his flag and fight for him. But he doesn't fight like the world fights. He fights with what? Love. He fights with light. He fights with his life. And it says here, they will know the fellowship of his sufferings, being co-laborers with Christ in disseminating light, here it is again, and love to the redeemed, and to redeem the purchase of his blood from the slavery of sin and death. So our job as a soldier of Christ is share that love and light and reach out and touch someone and redeem them, bring them back, get them to enlist in the Lord's army. So the culminating act of this love, this light, and this life is what? The resurrection. The resurrection. The conquering of death. The conquering of darkness. The conquering of the evil one, the devil. The battle was won. I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me, though he may die, he shall live. The resurrection of Jesus was a type of the final resurrection of all who sleep. Like my in-laws right now, and my dad. He who has said, I will lay down my life that I may take it up again, came forth in the grave to life that was in himself. Humanity died, divinity did not die. In his divinity, Christ possessed the power to break the bonds of death. He declares that he has life in himself to quicken whom he will. Wow, what a promise. When Christ ascended to heaven, the sense of his presence was still with his followers. It was a personal presence. What? Full of love and light. Oh, wow. We can have that too. We can have it. Just take it. It's offered to you. Christ is light, and in him is no darkness at all. Look toward the light. Accustom yourselves to speak the praise of God. Make others happy. This is your first work. Throw the windows of the soul wide open, heavenward, and let the sunshine of Christ's righteousness, what? Come in the morning, noon, night. Let your hearts be filled with the bright rays of heaven's light. Oh, that's what it's all about, folks. That's what heaven's waiting for. To see people like this, full of Christ's love and light and life. The third person, which I'll wrap up here, is how appropriately. I did find that one special person at Andrews University. She arrived there at the same time I did. Yeah. Her name is Dawn. And what does Dawn mean? What does it mean? Light. Morning light. And the Lord knew I needed more light. Through Nora, through Chapel Hall, now through Dawn. Dawn Clausen. Judy Wells, in my very first sociology class, sat right next to me. Not by accident. God ordained it so. Because Judy Wells, who was a much older woman, had a teenage son, had gone through a divorce, and had gone back to school to educate herself, become like a nurse. She kept bugging me day after day to meet her special friend. And I kept putting her off and putting her off and putting her off. finally, just to keep her quiet, I said, okay. So one Sabbath day, I said, all right, I'm coming over Dr. Raymond Moore's house, where Judy Wells was residing underneath, in an apartment underneath the Moores' Lake Chapin home. And soon I was to be living on Lake Chapin myself, not too far away from Dr. Moore. Because I got a place, a beautiful place on Lake Chapin, to die for, as my wife would verify, apartment underneath Dr. La Rundell, Dr. Hans La Rundell, of all people. We had many wonderful talks in the evenings, I'll tell you that. Well, we met. Immediately I was struck again with blindness of the light that came from Dawn, and I couldn't be away from her. I needed to be with her and around her and just absorb that love and that light and that life that she had. She was so full of it. And 6 months later, by behest of her folks, especially her father, they moved up the wedding, which was going to be a year later, to June 15, 1975. And we were married at the PUC Church 42 years ago. 2 children, Eric, 39, and Heidi, 36, not married, no grandkids. We have grandcats. But couple for life. And the Lord knew I needed her because it wasn't easy at a college university. Coming fresh out of the military, being in competition with all these young, wise, intelligent young people that had been brought up in the Adventist schools, I was competing with that. I mean, overwhelmed many times. But my wife helped me through and helped me to get through. And ultimately, about a year later after we were married, she became an associate professor at Andrews University and started teaching classes on the college campus. And one of them, I happened to take her class. I'm married to her. Can you imagine that? Taking a class from your own wife? But it was called Voice and Diction for Ministers, of all things. And I can remember laying on the floor and breathing right and all this stuff. Yeah, I got an A in that class, didn't I? Yeah. My voice you shall hear in the morning, O Lord. In the morning I will direct to you, and I will look up to you. It says the very first outbreathing, which I practice faithfully every morning. I am telling you the truth. As soon as I open my eyes and take that first breath, that morning breath, I just say, oh, Lord. Got 2 pictures of Jesus on either side of my bed. Can't help but miss seeing him. And I start thanking him right away, talking to him and praising him. And he says, without me, he says, you can't do nothing. I said, I know it, Lord. I need you. I need you through this day too. Here we go again. It is Jesus that we need. His light, his life, his love must be ours continually. We need him, his Spirit, every hour. And we should pray in the morning that as the sun illuminates the landscape and fills the world with light, so the righteousness of Christ may shine into the chambers of the mind and the heart and make us all light in the Lord. We cannot do without his presence one moment, she says. It is the desire of the Lord that from moment to moment, not hour, not every few hours, not once or twice a day, no, every moment, we should abide in him and thus be complete in him. Arise and shine, for his light has come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. We need now to arise. We're living in the last days of earth's history. And it says, and our light has come. It's time now to get up and shine before the world. And the glory of the Lord has risen upon us. We have no time to talk of self, no time to become like the sensitive plant that cannot be touched without shrinking. I like that. In Jesus Christ is our efficiency. Will we talk faith? Will we talk of the glorious hope of the full and abundant righteousness of Jesus Christ that's provided? I hope so. That's what we should be doing every moment. Give thanks unto the Father, which has made us meet to be partakers of the inheritance of the saints in light. Saints in light, hold on to that. Who had delivered us from the power of darkness and hath translated us into the kingdom of love, light, and life of his dear Son. So if that's the case, what is heaven like? Who makes up heaven? Jesus. What is heaven like? It's love. It's light. It's light. It's life. Every servants of God endowed with the power from on high, she says in the last days, get this now, I never caught this before. With their faces what? Lidded up and shining with holy consecration, set forth to proclaim the message from heaven, the three angels' messages. The world seemed to be lightened with this heavenly influence. Wow, can that really happen? All of us is glowing and beaming with love and life and light of Christ and his righteousness, that they can't help but notice it and get it? Happy in heaven. Question. Could those whose lives have been spent in rebellion against God be suddenly transported to heaven and witness the high and holy state